When I logged back into Discord yesterday, I was immediately greeted by a pop-up leading me to a Medium article written by Discord's CEO, Jason Citrin. And this was basically an article about racial inequality and Discord support for the Black Lives Matter movement, which is all well and good, until you take into account that for years on end, Discord has been a harbor for white supremacists and white supremacist communities. Hatred has always been a widespread issue on Discord, and Discord has done little to nothing to address this issue. I mean, yeah, sure, they bring up in the article that they removed some white supremacist communities in 2019 alone, but still, Discord has never really addressed this issue until racism became the hot-button issue it is today, after George Floyd's unjust murder. And it makes me think, was this really a genuine article? Is Discord really genuinely concerned about the hatred that is on their platform? Or are they just now deciding to care because now racism is a huge topic of discussion, and they know if they continue to just turn a blind eye to these kind of servers, they'll face a ton of scrutiny and backlash for continuing to let these servers exist. And that is my exact problem with virtue signaling in general among not only Discord, but other social media companies and just corporations in general. They don't actually care about the issues they claim to care about. It's all just to pull the wool over your eyes and get you to continue to consume the products they offer to you. I mean, look at YouTube. Every Pride Month, they get a bunch of LGBT content creators to compile into one video to show their supposed support for the LGBTQ plus community, while at the same time, they've been caught suppressing LGBT content, demonetizing LGBT content creators, while they still want to seem like allies and seem like the good guys because, oh, just once a year, we feature LGBT content creators on our channel. Yeah, because that's totally enough, because that totally absolves you from trying to fuck over these kind of content creators. Fuck you. Anyways, it's all just to get people to be like, oh wow, Google and YouTube, they're full of good people. I mean, look, they're given a platform to these marginalized groups of people, and they say they care about these groups of people. It's all just a ruse to get you to like these kind of corporations and to get you to continue to consume their products, like I mentioned just a minute ago. They want you to see them as the good guys because they know if they continue to show blatant disregard for these groups of people like they have for decades on end prior, they wouldn't exactly be in the good graces of a lot of people, and they wouldn't have as many potential customers that would have been supporting their brand had they not virtue signaled towards these groups of people. That's why they make these commercials and social media posts, etc., expressing their supposed solidarity with these groups of people. They don't actually give a fuck about these issues. They just want to capitalize and profit off of these kind of issues because they know these are very popular issues today that many people are passionate about, so they see this as an opportunity to make profit off of these kind of issues. They don't give a fuck about these kind of issues. They don't give a fuck about the people who are at the receiving end of these kind of issues. They just want to pander to these kinds of people and pander to the people who take these issues very seriously. And that's why you see the LGBTQ plus section at your local Target with the pride flag t-shirts and the pride flag mugs. And this isn't to throw any shade at the people who buy those kind of shirts and mugs, etc. Whatever else they sell at those sections. Whatever. I know plenty of people who buy that and they just want to show their pride for who they are, whatever. That's all well and good. But still, I'm just criticizing the system in general because that is how the system is designed. Know what people like, know what people are very passionate about, and then pander to what it is people really like and what people are very passionate about these days. I mean, look at all the fucking old-ass racist commercials from, like, the 50s and 60s. Racial equality was nowhere near what it was today. I mean, those were still the days of, like, segregation and racism being very, very normalized in this country. So, of course, corporations didn't care about those kind of issues back then because they knew those weren't very popular issues back then, so they catered to what was popular back then. Racism. You saw people in blackface in these commercials, you saw racial stereotypes in these commercials, and no one gave a fuck back then because, again, no one really cared about racial justice back then, aside from the people who were at the receiving end of said systemic oppression, but those people didn't really matter because they didn't make up a majority of what people thought back then. How convenient is it that now that racial inequality and systemic racism and LGBTQ plus issues are at the forefront of what many people are talking about these days, that now these corporations are caring, now these corporations are deciding to pander to these kinds of people, when, like I mentioned, for decades on end, it's like these people never existed to these corporations. These corporations never acknowledged acknowledge these kinds of people because, again, these kind of issues were not popular back then, and they only care now because they know they can make a profit off of these kind of issues and make a profit off of these kind of people, because these are the topics that people care about these days, and they see this as a good opportunity to capitalize off of said topics. And it is fucking gross, and this is exactly why I hate capitalism so much. This kind of shit cheapens otherwise legitimate movements that fight for equality among the marginalized in this world. And this kind of shit is fodder for bigots to say, well, these kind of people, they already got their rights, right? Because they're always shoved in our damn faces all the time. When in reality, that is far from the truth, because a lot of these people are far from equal compared to the privileged in this country and in this world in general. And what I also hate so much are the very same bigots that I just brought up, you know, the people who complain about this same exact issue but for all the wrong reasons. They don't care that these companies are trying to profit and capitalize off of these kind of people and these kind of movements towards equality. They only give a shit about the fact that there's people of color in their commercials now. They only care that there are LGBTQ plus people in their commercials now. They hate seeing these social media posts made by these companies trying to promote these kind of people, these kind of marginalized people, because they're racist, they're bigots, they hate these kind of marginalized groups of people, and they choose to complain about it because, again, they have such a huge hate boner for these kind of people, and they can't stand seeing them in like a 30-second commercial. They can't stand seeing them in a social media post made by a company that doesn't actually care about these kind of people, but still they want to brand these companies as leftists. All in all, just fuck capitalism. It's the very reason why we have all these profit-hungry vultures that want to make you think that they're your friend, that they're on your side, that they actually care about your cause, when in reality they just want to siphon as much money out of you as possible through the means of half-hearted pandering. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.